Hello people of the YouTube world and all who are watching this. I am Mackenzie901K. It is officially summer. Yes, summer is here as of June 20th. It is now officially the summer season, and while summer isn't my favorite season, it is still such a fun time to read, to plan your TBR, to just do some fun summer reading. I think we should just go ahead and get right on into building and planning my summer TBR because it has been a whole process. So the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to sit down and write down just some random book ideas because I had no idea what I wanted to put on my summer TBR, but thankfully now we do. First, we will talk about the new summer releases that are coming out. So the first new release that I have on my list is Reckless. Reckless comes out in like a couple of weeks. I am over the moon, ecstatic, pumped. Reckless is the sequel to Powerless. I love Powerless so much. I know you all get so sick of hearing me talking about Powerless, so I promise I will keep it brief, but Reckless is coming out and I am stoked. The next book that I have is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This is going to be my fourth book that I'm going to be reading by Ali Hazelwood, and I am not the biggest Ali Hazelwood fan. Like, my favorite book by Ali Hazelwood has definitely been Check and Mate. I definitely want to still continue to read her books because I'm always intrigued enough to pick them up. I just never really consider her a favorite author. Actually, Not in Love is already out. I just don't have it yet because I have a video planned that I'm going to be filming where I read some new releases, and some of these new releases that I am mentioning might be featured in that video. So stay tuned for that. The next release that is coming out pretty soon as well, if not already out, I can't really remember the exact release date, is Threads That Cut. Now, have I read Threads That Bind? Absolutely not. Threads That Bind is the first book in this little duology series. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I have not read it yet, but it is on my TBR for this month and I do want to get to it super duper soon. And then the very last book that we're going to talk about in the summer releases is going to be Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is the third book in the Maple Hills series. This series features Icebreaker and Wildfire as well in it, and I have read only Icebreaker. I've never read Wildfire, but Wildfire does take place at a summer camp, so that would be actually a really good book to read this summer. I'm getting more ideas for summer reads as we speak, but I really want to read it. I don't really know exactly what it's going to be about other than the front of it has like a library looking vibe on the cover, and that alone, I'm sold. So now what I think we should do is I think we should definitely go ahead and go through the actual physical TBR that I already own. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull some of those books off the shelves, and then we will go ahead and we will get started on the summer TBR. Okay, so we've got the books. Now let's go ahead and let's jump right on into them. The first book that we have here is we have Outlander. I don't really know. I think this is more maybe classified as historical fiction, but there's also a element in it that is a fantasy-esque element. So I'm putting it in the fantasy category just for that reason. From what I know, it's about a girl named Claire, and Claire somehow goes from being in 1945 to 1743 as an outlander. It does have that time traveling element to it, which is really interesting. I don't really know too much about time travel or anything like that, but I have heard really great things about the TV series. I do know that there are 12 books in this series, but I'm not planning on committing to this series until I've at least read this first book. So if we get through the first book and we like it, we'll commit to the rest of the series. The next little book that we have here is The Trial of the Sun Queen. This book, I tried to read it last year, and honestly, I couldn't tell you a thing about it. So I do believe that one day, this girl, her name is Lore, is living in a prison. Like, she's an inmate in a prison. She somehow gets taken out of this prison and put into this place where this Sun King lives, and she has to compete in these Sun King trials. And that's kind of all I know about it. I do know there's a little bit of a romance in here. I am still intrigued by this book. I just couldn't really get behind it the first time I read it, but I still want to give it another try. I am super duper curious about what this book contains. And then the next little book that we have is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. If y'all don't know my friend Katie from Katie is Reading, she's awesome. You guys should go check her out. This is Katie's favorite book, or one of her favorite books from last year, and she just, every time she talks about this book, she is just giving this glowing recommendation as to why you should read it. It honestly seems so intriguing. So it's about this girl named Theodora, and when Theodora was younger, she was cursed, and she pretty much loses half of her soul, meaning that she can't feel emotions the same way as everybody else can. Like, she can't really feel embarrassment or anything like that. And I've heard that calls for some pretty witty and funny moments. So I am so intrigued by this book, and it sounds so fun and interesting. I haven't really heard great things about the rest of the books in this series, because this series is called the Regency Fairy Tale series. Haven't heard the best things about the rest of the books, but that's okay. And then the last little fantasy book that we have is House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I've heard some mixed reviews about this book. I just don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. Honestly, I don't know too much about it. I just know that there is somebody in here named Linus. He's just pretty much got to go learn about these children who are pretty dangerous, and just see how dangerous these children are. I don't know if I love it. We will see. I've just heard some mixed things about it. And also, I wanted to give a shout out to this fantasy series that I am currently reading. I've actually already read this book, and I'm on the second book, which is called Crown of the Everflame. This series is so good so far, so I am wanting to continue this series this summer. So in this series, we're following our main character, Diem, and Diem has always been a little bit different. She is a mortal, and in this world there are mortals, and then there are descendants which have powers and are godlike. The descendants have blue eyes, mortals have like brown eyes. Diem has gray eyes, so she's still like a mortal, and she also got really sick when she was young. She thinks that that's why her eyes are that color. Diem is a bit older now, and her mother goes missing, and and she has to take place and do some royal healing duties. That's what this book is following, and I am obsessed with this series. So now we're gonna move on to some romance, and I do love me some summer romance. So this first book, y'all are gonna make fun of me, but I'm yet to read Beach Read. I've been in the book community since 2021, and I'm still yet to read Beach Read. I've been saving it in hopes that I'm going on a summer beach vacation, and I'm yet to go on one. Hence why I haven't read it yet, but hopefully we will be going on one this summer. So in this book we are following August and January. They are complete opposites. They write completely different books. I believe they end up spending the summer together, yes, because they're neighbors in beach houses. But I've heard that it is just such an immaculate book. After reading it last month, I was like, okay, I get the Emily Henry hype, and we're gonna go read Beach Read. Then the next book that we have is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I recently read Just for Summer by Abby Jimenez. I liked that book. I just wasn't really expecting it to be as realistic and heart-wrenching as it was, even though it literally says in the title that it's gonna be like that. I just don't know what planet I was living on, but it was just not the correct one, because I was just still so shocked of how deep it got. So this one we are following our main character, Alex, and Alex goes into this town, I believe, and I think she gets stranded in a ditch or something like that. She meets this guy named Daniel, and Daniel helps her out of the ditch. They also, as the title tells, they also come from two very different worlds. So we're going to see how they become a part of each other's worlds in this book, which is always a fun time. I'm always down. If this book takes place in like a small town, I'm always down for a small town romance. Always. Then we have Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I'm not gonna lie, I did just go ahead and put this book on my TBR after I mentioned it a few minutes ago. I'm putting it on here because it takes place at a summer camp. And what better time to read a book that takes place at a summer camp than right now in summer, because it's summer, and summer camp, summer. You get what I'm saying. I don't really exactly know though what this is about. Like, I don't know the whole premise. I just know that it takes place at a summer camp. It says, let's see. Okay, so it's a one-night stand, and then they run into each other again at a summer camp. How fun! Oh, I'm so excited for this book. I kind of forgot this book existed. Oh, that's so bad. Is it dual POV too? Ooh. This might be getting moved up just a little bit higher on my TBR. And now we're on to the miscellaneous section. I have quite a few different books in this section that I want to read. It's quite an array, so let's hop into it. The first book is a bit of a doozy, and I don't know if I'm gonna get here, but I would really like to at least start this book, and that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I seen a couple different people reading classics for the summer, and you know, I've never really thought to read a classic during the summer, but honestly that just kind of sounds like the perfect time, even though, like, you know, this book is gonna require a little bit more brain power because it was written like back in the 1800s, I believe. Probably 1800s, something like that. Let's see. First published in 1813. Yeah, so gonna require a little bit of brain power, but that's okay. I'm really excited just to kind of dive into a classic and annotate it. And also, I've heard so many great things about Jane Austen, and I don't believe that we ever read a Jane Austen book in high school when we were forced to read classics, which is honestly kind of a crime. Jane Austen aligns more with my taste because I believe her books have that romance undertone to it, which is interesting, and I'm very intrigued. The next book that we have is middle grade, and that is Howl's Moving Castle. I recently have been obsessing with Studio Ghibli movies again, and I honestly just want to go back and read all the source material. I think that's so special to see where the movie that I loved came from. I am obsessed with Howl's Moving Castle. It is my second favorite Studio Ghibli movie of all time, and I just think that this would be such a cute little fun read because the Ghibli movie itself is just so beautiful and whimsical, and I'm just so obsessed with Howl's Moving Castle. Then we have a manga. I know you guys will probably see me putting this on my TBR if I don't finish this series this summer, which I do currently have most of the series thanks to my library. I don't know what I'll do because I have been so excited for this series recently, and I am absolutely adoring it. And this is my, like, if I need to read something but I don't want to put any brain power into it, this is where I go. This is Witch Hat Atelier. We are following our main character Coco, and Coco is pretty obsessed with magic. She wants to know how it works, but in this world, people, not just everybody knows how magic works just because of how dangerous magic can get. One day Coco does experience a little bit of that danger because she does see how magic works. She ends up doing a little bit of magic and bringing some harm to her mother. So she joins Master Quidfree and some other children to learn how to become a witch and save her mother. I'm so intrigued by this little series, and I'm so obsessed with this little series. Then we have Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. This series is also so fun. I am so obsessed with this. What? I've never read a book by this author before. I don't know what kind of tangent I just went on. I'm tired. It is too late to be filming, honestly, but in this book, I believe it is a murder mystery thriller type book, and I just know that it does take place in the summer, and that's quite honestly it. And it has multiple POVs in it as well, which is really interesting. I don't really read a lot of thriller. I don't really do thriller. I'm not a thriller gal, but we could get behind it. Depending on how this book goes, we could get into some more thrillers. So maybe this will be on my summer ween TBR, but I do know that I want to read this summer. Now I think what we're going to do is we are going to create my summer bullet journal spread. So let's go ahead and let's jump into setting up my journal spread for my summer TBR. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed setting up my spread, going through and building a little bit of a TBR with you guys, talking about all of the books that I want to read this summer. It has been such a fun time. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please be sure to comment down below what you guys are reading this summer. And if you guys have any suggestions on what I should read this summer, be sure to also drop that down below because I'm always looking for new books to read. Your girl not only loves to read books, she also loves to buy them. Also, be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Makes my heart smile, helps out the channel. You know how it be around here. Also tap that subscribe button to stick around on the channel. We try to upload every Sunday and Thursday at 6 p.m. EST. That does not always happen. Make sure you tap that post notification bell as well so you will be notified right when I upload a video. Thank you guys for watching and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.